on here. And if you're in a place where you're looking to continue to stretch your thinking and like be immersed in an environment where people aren't just settling for the status quo, but are moving forward and challenging both their thinking and sharing what they're learning on a regular basis, you're in for a great treat because today we have an Outliers Edge roundtable with none other than Jason Fishman. Jason, thank you so much for being here on the show. It is a pleasure to have you here. And thank you for bringing all your experience to this conversation.
Niyama, I've been looking forward to this. The pleasure is all mine. Excited to speak to the audience with you.
I can feel that excitement though, right? Like even when you said my name, I'm like, oh, we are in for this. Like Jason's ready. Like we're let's go with it. So Jason, the way I like to get every conversation started is to give you a chance to share more about you and the game that you're playing. You mind letting Outliers know about that?
Yeah, yeah. So I run an investor marketing and investor acquisition agency here in Los Angeles, in Marina del Rey, California. We've worked on over 900 deals, have collectively raised hundreds of millions in capital using digital marketing tools. I share the findings on my podcast, Test Optimize Scale. I do educational series online, and I want to see a higher success rate industry wide across entrepreneurs, startups, growth stage companies to effectively raise capital. We do a lot of work in the investment crowdfunding space. Could go into the bridges, how many companies raise a million, 5 million, 50, 75 million. I want to see those percentiles represent a larger share of the founder group. That's where I've put my efforts. That's where my daily passion and commitments go.
I love this here. You said you wanted to represent a larger share, and then I lost a little bit in the audio. So can you say that one more time? Instead of
Yeah,
I want to capture that.
I want to see more startups, more growth stage companies successfully raise capital. I follow the stats very closely for the regulated investment crowdfunding industry. There's a lot of information around that. It has been increasing. I also play a role in the Crowdfund Professional Association and have conversations in Washington and making it easier for groups to file and to raise more. I'm trying to be as hands-on as possible around this. But again, companies don't make it when they're not able to successfully raise. Cash flow is a common issue for companies under. That's why I've chosen this in this area.
So thank you, like Jason, for like showing up the way that you do. Like as you are right now, as you're talking right now, what gets me is one, I'm like, oh, I don't know anything about like raising capital at all, right? So I'm curious about that. But what I'm also really curious about is like the level of commitment that you've gone through to bring this out to life. So I'm going to be focusing a little bit like I'm curious about like you talked about going out and trying to make things easier for people, right? And it's not
Yeah.
just like through it feels like it goes beyond just through your business and the platform that you have. Like it feels like you're lobbying, you're getting involved in places where decisions are
Yeah.
being made and places come in. So tell us a little bit about like what got you into that journey. And really, Jason, I think the question in my mind is like, why didn't you just stop with what you where you were? Like how did you keep expanding on through that? I just want to start there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was in the advertising space, working with Fortune 500s, wanted to work in the startup community here in Los Angeles. I've been part of a social gaming company that successfully raised capital, began running growth marketing campaigns for groups at this level. It's very exciting. It's very rewarding when goals are hit. And fundraising was always brought to the table, was always brought to the conversation. I'd always hear about the rounds my clients were raising. I'd be asked to support in those and creating pitch decks or the marketing section of a business plan or a first campaign that once successful was going to be presented to an investor and more funding would become available. Clients were even asking me to participate in those meetings and talk about the marketing to those investors. And I was introduced to Reg D 506C, which is a legislation that allows for solicitation of accredited investors. With my background, was able to say, hey, I can target investors by household income, by net worth, by what they're investing in, by what they're looking at online. So I was brought to these deals, saw success. The laws opened up further. We were then able to target retail investors, virtually any adult with regulation crowdfunding, Reg CF, where right now you can raise up to 5 million from both accredited and retail audiences. one more filing to throw out is called Regulation A Plus. You can raise up to 75 million there. You can even go public by doing so. And we've worked on a high volume of these campaigns, as mentioned. There's two parts to it. One is on the administrative side, where the filing, the audits, the reviews, everything that needs to take place and be submitted to the SEC can be cumbersome. Not all issuers get through it. So I'm part of an advocacy group, part of an organization, actually the one that was formed when these laws were created, called the Crowdfund Professionals Association, the CFPA. That's where I've been able to share issues, founder stories, some of the struggles that they had to go through to make all of these things happen just to be able to take the deal to market. The second part of it is the marketing, where you basically need enough traffic at a high enough conversion rate on one of these offering pages to hit the. Meanwhile, the issuers, the companies issuing shares or their investment opportunity, don't really understand that. They think, hey, just by putting a deal online or being featured in one of these marketplaces, I could raise millions of dollars. It's the internet. There's billions of people online a day, and that's simply not the case. So being able to make it a more streamlined process to bring the right investors to that deal, to have engaging content, headline-worthy announcements, and basis, really, to then see a higher conversion rate as investors are going back and back to the deal, because it's not the first touch point that they invest. So being able to make that simpler, at least a clearer path, so that as it's working, they can then ramp it up and scale to whole other avenues, milestones, brackets. It's really what's in the background for me when I say make it easier.
So I love this. I appreciate this that you're bringing in like what it actually takes here, and even this I still know is just like a scratch in the surface. It's like the fingernail
Sure.
on the entire body of it all, you know. But like part of what I already get is the level of depth that's like required. With this, the level of expertise that goes in. The two questions that were going through my mind as you were talking, it kind of boils down into like what's like the unconventional truth that you've learned, like so the thing that most people believe it's one thing, but in reality it ends up being something else. Why don't we do one question at a time? So like I'll be really curious from the experience that you have when it comes to the work that you do. What's a commonly held belief that you're just like this is just not the truth?
Unfortunately, it's that a deals are sold. They're not, and it's less about the quality of your product and the company, and more about the hype, the crowd effect, how other prospective investors are perceiving the deal and moving forward. Really, it's the top 10% of all issuers that get all of the investments. The same can be true, not just capital raising, investor acquisition, but traditional markets. Private equity has shown this for decades, where the certain deals with existing relationships with funds and investors, the network is present, money is put behind these offerings. Other investors see that they're more interested in those deals than maybe some amazing tech. No one investing in them, and that's what we see on these crowd sales, where it's an offering page, a pitch video. If there's thousands of investments taking place, the audience is paying less attention to the details of the product and more around the phenomenon that's occurring, the response from the crowd, from the community. Meanwhile, there can be an amazing company doing historical things, and if there are few to no investments on that offering page, people simply don't care. And if they do, they're then overcome by doubt, uh, questioning, hey, why isn't anyone investing? Why have they raised so little? It doesn't seem like a sure bet. I may be saving them if I put money in. It does not seem like they're going to be able to hit their objectives, their goals. So it's more about creating that social proof, and ultimately third-party validation, than even just creating an amazing product. You hear sayings of ideas are cheap. It's all about execution and being able to show what's been executed, not just in terms of company growth, but in growth of that capital raise. It can be the make or break in the success of one of these rounds.
So that's actually really interesting to me because like I'm hearing it specifically with what you're saying, but I'm also like applying it in like a more general sense of it. And what I'm hearing here is that like one, you talked about social proof, right? And so I'm thinking about like when I hear social proof, I think about like the different levers of influence that's available. And part of what I think I'm hearing from you is like the traction, the momentum, the fact that like you called it the hype that's around it, that actually does more to sell an idea than the actual like product itself, at least in terms of getting funding and everything else for it. One, am I hearing that right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Um, does it ever work out in the other way around where it's like it's all hype without product? What happens in that situation there? Like this from what you've seen.
Well, you'd like to think that if the product's not there, those initial investors, initial publishers, thought leaders who are talking about the offering uh, would not be signing off on it. So
Mhm.
it's not to say, hey, you don't need a product. That's a non-negotiable. You
And,
have
and
to have
and even
something.
this is like I think to be more specifically like a not a great product. So not in terms of like trying to create fraud, but more from the standpoint
Sure.
of I'm trying to think about this from the standpoint of any outlier that's out there that's asking themselves like they've gone through all the work and it's like they're like we have the best product out there and it's like all right does it make more sense to be able to be like, look, we have like a level 3 out of 5 product, but we have gotten our the hype like machine to like a 5 out of 5, so that this thing can actually go, or is it like or like versus 3 and 5 on the opposite end? I think that's what I really wanted to dial in on.
Yeah. I would tell you the hype is more important. I don't think it could exist without a decent or competitive product,
Hmm.
but there was a better product out there and it didn't have those signals, those social cues, those validators. It would likely not perform as well. Sure, there are
Yes.
outliers to that,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
but but normally the crowd effect is building at the same time. An example I
Mm-hmm.
use quite a bit: an empty restaurant, the empty restaurant sensation, where you get in and you immediately have question marks because no one else is there. The product looks good, the menu looks good, the interior design, the team seems friendly, but no one else is there. It can almost affect your experience with the products, what you're mentally thinking while you're there. Meanwhile, you look across the street and there's an establishment with a line around the block. You don't even know what they serve. You just see that people are waiting. They're doing whatever they can. They're probably waiting hours to eat there. And you may have a thought of, hey, I want to try that place out. And maybe not right now. Maybe I'm not going to get up, but let's go back there. I want to go there. I want to, try it for myself. That looks cool. Don't even know what the product is. It's just that social psychology of perceived value of what's occurring over there and the shadow that's cast from the absence of it. So I grew up here in Southern California, uh, skateboarding, snowboarding, surfing, a hoverboard, a flying skateboard. We saw it in the movies, right? Back to the Future. If there was a flying skateboard company tomorrow and they had an investment campaign with $20,000 raised and no one's speaking about it, I would think it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, if there was, I don't know, an electric skateboard, but that went faster than others, there's other technologies like this, both 2 million and $20,000 raised, I would immediately feel more comfortable investing in that company with 2 million. If there was a list of publishers, maybe print magazines I grew up following that now I, get their digital editions, and podcasters and investors saying, I grew up doing this stuff, and this company is actually primed for growth, and, talking about why they invested. I'm going to pay far more attention than the company that may have a better product, but just no one who's singing the song for them. No one that is coming out and being ambassador and saying, I invested and here's why. I want to see a different publisher talk about that company every week, if not every day. I want to see them talking about the investment and the deal. And if that's present, the hype, as you say, I'm far more likely to look at it with a set of eyes that's looking to move forward versus a skeptical one. People don't believe what they see online. Without this social proof, it's very hard to get thousands of people to invest into a deal. By the way, this is true for e-commerce and lead generation, user acquisition types of digital marketing. Acquisition to be our niche, our specialty, and where we can be of tremendous value and on the front lines of performance for a group. But this is reflecting some best practices for digital marketing and really musts, non-negotiables for investor acquisition.
So there are. I love this. I'm glad that you brought it to other environments where this would play out too. Because what I'm hearing is like underneath all this is like proof right now wins. Like it's the ability to create things. Like we have AI, like Cloud Code is coming out. I'm getting into that as well. And like it's like being able to create something is one thing, but like right now what I'm hearing is like proof wins. And in the game that you play here, like social proof wins. And I always like I'm going to invite you right now to think about the projects that you're taking on right now and ask yourself like what have you been doing to actually build and accumulate the proof along the way, and how can you continue to do this here? And like we're talking to Jason here, so like we can look at it from the standpoint of the social proof. How are you getting people on board, and how are you making that visible along the way? It's like what are you showing to actually make the world know that this has traction, that this is going somewhere, that this is going like this is, to your point, like more of a sure bet than just like than anything else. Jason, is there anything you want to add or say to that real quick?
Sure. Let me give some numbers, some references to a real campaign. It's the top Regulation A plus right now. Company we're working with, have worked with for years, a company called Rad Intelligence. They started as an influencer marketing company. Many of them out there, right? They evolved, they merged with an AI company. They became Rad AI, now Rad Intel, and they're actually a holding company and own SaaS development, influencer network, other agencies, and keep growing and growing from there. They've now raised over $50 million in the Regulation A plus campaign and from over 15,000 investors. Everyone generalizations, but you have Benzinga and 1440, Morning Brew, and Cheddar TV, and all of these different financial publishers. They've been talked about by Robinhood Snacks, and you name it. Rolling Stone. They probably had someone speak about them there. They also run a tremendous amount of advertising and point to all of these mentions. They have their ticker symbol for the public markets already reserved, and they've been featured. They've been in Times Square with big advertisement running behind them talking about the ticker symbol. And again, they're constantly being praised by someone new saying, these guys are amazing. They work with the top agencies in the world, the top brands in the world. They get a tremendous return on marketing spend for them. This is an investment opportunity where the valuation's been growing, the share price has been going up, and there's a lot more to come. So because it's not just them talking about themselves, but that is true. You really have to max out your own content channels. But all of these other Wall Street, experts saying, I analyze this deal, I analyze all types of growth companies. This is something, definitely do your research here. They've been able to bring in, extreme amounts of investors. When you think about like how many people that really is, 15,000 people, there's a stadium full of people, put in their hard-earned money, put a portion of their portfolio into these shares. So that's the power of it. That's how it all comes to life. There are many influencer networks. There are many AI companies. I imagine some of your audience, building an AI company right now. There are many different investment opportunities around them, but because of all these accolades, because of all of the people who are saying positive things and encouraging those to use their platform, so marketing prediction, a marketing AI engine at this point, they've gone well beyond influencers to be able to say you should be investing in this. This is how they've gone from $5 million valuation to over 200 million. Adding the numbers in there, this speaks very loudly. So again, who cares about the other influencer or other marketing growth engines out there? This is the one that is being described, that the story is being told around, that's being pointed to. So whatever you're building, imagine if you have that force behind it, or if you're just building something great. Again, build amazing things that the world's never seen. Not saying not to, but I will tell you that many of the companies that do still fail. I think it's 9 out of 10 companies fail in the first 5 years. I've even heard the first year. Again, capital is a big part of that, but how you're getting your audience to grow, how you're getting a portion of them to work with you or buy from you or invest in you or use your tech, the more of this you're able to implement to your strategy, the better.
So Jason, I'm loving this year. And like there's two places I have to watch myself right now because like I'm fascinated in what you're saying. And I think that there's two places here. All right. So the two places I want to go are one on the volume side of things. I get that you get like doing a lot, getting a lot in there, and I want to have a conversation on a personal level. I'm like I could use someone who isn't intimidated by large numbers, right? And then the other side of it afterwards is I want to go down and talk to you about like your own experience, like how you came here, how you're seeing things, and like some of the things that you're
Sure.
taking on right now as it goes through, right? So, but I'll be remiss for myself if I don't step into the numbers game. So here goes. Just to be real here with you, Jason. I'm finding myself right now at my own like cross point of recognizing that like things are working, but like there's like I feel like I'm in like a bit of I don't know if it's a swamp or like a quagmire of like should I hit the gas, with this, or like is there something that should I be seeing better results before I go all in? And I guess my question for you is, as you are thinking about, you talk about like there's a certain amount of traffic that needs to take place, and a certain amount of that like gets converted, and so on and so forth, versus like you just put it out into the world, and it all comes in. My question for you is, when do you generally know feel like it's time to like lean in and be like, oh, we're going to bring people onto this. We're gonna try and like we're gonna go and create the social proof in terms of like people talking about it, creating the buzz, so on and so forth, rather than leaning into to saying like, hold on, like, are we ready for it yet or not? Does that question make sense there? And you can like
Yeah.
if you say some things, Jason, I'll figure out where I want to lean in on a little bit more. But there's something in what you're describing now. Like there's an edge of how far can we take it? Like what if there is no max? What if there is no limit that I want to like lean in with you on in the here? You get with that, Jason?
Yeah. Yeah. So test optimize scale. Something I say a lot. It's our philosophy, our approach towards growth. It is
Mm.
the scientific method, but you look for safe, comfortable enough levels to test, comfortable yet meaningful enough to your goals and your timeline. You optimize towards what's working best, and within each of the marketing strategy and channels, you have audiences, you have creatives, you have funnels, the calls to action, the digital environments, pathways you're taking them down. You want to have variance for each of those. You want to see what's working best. You want to optimize towards that. You want to improve the underproducers and eventually phase them out, and then look for the opportunities to scale. There are different approaches. Some groups, like to test at much higher levels, but I would argue they still need to scale from there. And you have a larger retargeting pool, meaning more people in your funnel. Again, it's multiple touch points to see a conversion. So if you have more people that are mid-funnel, mid-decision-making process, you're going to be in a better place quicker if the conversion rate's there, if it's all happening. I'm a big fan of strategy. There's a model I've built called the 8-point plan. We generally do it over the course of a month, doing 2 sections a week. I'd like to highlight the second section where after an industry overview, you do a competitor marketing audit. And just to give some tools to your audience, Facebook ads library. You could Google Facebook ads library, give you the URL, but you can see any live ad campaign. You could type in a brand, select their page, and see what ads they're running today. If they have ads live, they're showing up there. You also don't have to select a page. You can just put in a phrase or a word, and you'll see every ad that shows those words in it. So if I'm looking to see, hey, the Reg D campaigns are only for accredited investors. If I type in Reg D, I can see every ad that shows Reg D in their messaging. Many of the Reg D campaigns do for legal purposes. If I type in accredited investors, I'll see every ad that features the word accredited investors. Many of the campaigns do because they need to ensure it's only accredited investors getting through. I could type in my industry, I could type in investors. Your brains are probably running and thinking all the different things that you could search on there right now. Success leaves clues. You want to see what ads are running today. That's just on Meta. You could do something similar for Google. You could do something similar for other ad platforms, but I would say Meta is a fundamental channel, and they're running some campaigns there. If they keep running an ad, it's probably working, at least to some degree. So you want to have an understanding of what's taking place in that conversation from your target audience and your competitors. Competitors, it's a funny word. A lot of founders, CEOs want to argue with me about how unique their product is and that they have no competitors. And that's a conversation I usually don't go down as much as other people are competing for the same audience as you. Could even be a different industry, different call to action, but they're going to be bidding against you for advertisements. And if it's for the same initiative, if it's for an investment campaign and they're targeting investors, that they're going to be going after those investment dollars alongside you. So you want to make sure your ads are as strong, if not stronger. And a lot of that is going to have to do with that third-party validation. Who are you featuring that's talking about you in your ads? A lot of different ways to run ads from publishers' handles and from thought creators, influencers pages, a lot of creative things you can look for here and look to implement into your campaigns as well too. But if I'm testing creatives to audiences that I've chosen after doing this research, I feel better about the test. I actually map out all different types of channels that could be incorporated into a campaign, then prioritize, because like you said, how big do you want to go at first? Budgets vary, timelines. I want to choose, hey, these channels make the most sense. We'll start there as it's working, or we need to test something out, we'll move to the next channels. But it's this systematic approach and knowing the numbers you're looking for. And all the way through, I look at it as an algorithm. Impressions, clicks, content's been seen, how much traffic it's driving to your landing page or site. That's a big gap for a lot of people, especially if they're working on a PR campaign or an influencer campaign. And then how many conversions go into the conversion rate but are coming out the other end, because then you're able to pinpoint where performance is falling off for any underperforming channel, and you're able to identify key drivers and scale those up quicker. So it's a matter of having these structures and then being somewhat aggressive with them. The most successful campaigns that we've worked on have had the most proactive founders and CEOs, and they really, really ramp into this and to get past their competitors. So all
When you
important.
say somewhat aggressive, I want to check in there because that like everything you were saying right there, like I got it, I understand like the process that was taking place, but you said being somewhat aggressive with that, and I'm curious what you meant by that. Like what
Yeah.
would you say? Like two people, same exact stats, same budget, whatever it is, competing for the same audience. One's aggressive, one's not. What what's the difference there?
Yeah. So on a Reg CF campaign, regulation crowd issuers will begin somewhere between 5K and 15K per month on hard advertising spent. No agency fees, anything like that. This is stuff you could be buying internally. I'd recommend buying from groups that have audiences with a database of over 1.8 million investors. for these types of deals. Regulation A plus, they'll generally start between 50K and 100K. If a founder gets to decent levels of performance, let's say 3x to 5x on pixel data, click-through conversions, we're going to make recommendations to scale. Clients who do that and see the same performance in terms of cost of acquisition of each investor, the same return on ad spend or higher, and then a week, 2 weeks down the line, they increase the ad spend again and increase it again and increase it again. They find themselves spending hundreds of thousands a month, raising millions. Some issuers, especially the Regulation A plus issuers, they're probably spending millions a month on advertising at that point. They would never come in and say, hey, here's $2 million, please spend it on advertising for us for the month. No, start at 50K, 100K, but as they get to higher and higher levels of spend, but at a return on ad spend, 10x, 20x type levels, even if it's in that 3 to 5x level, they'll know, hey, I need to do a lot more and quicker. So when I say aggressive, that's what I'm really thinking about, is
Yeah.
they see even this audience that create down the webinar funnel or the landing page sign up funnel, it's driving for me. I'm going to pump the gas there. I'm not just going to, we'll keep running that. That's stable. We want to be conservative. No, they're looking to be at the forefront of the race and as quick as possible.
Okay, so I'm smiling here, Jason, and there's a reason I was smiling. There's probably two reasons. One, I have this uncanny. There's something that happens with these conversations where I almost feel like I'm always talking to someone who's directly talking to a situation that I'm facing in the business right now. Like I'm getting an insight that matters, so on and so forth, right? And like I haven't really talked about like this funnel and flow mechanics with people on the show. So as you're talking, Jason, what's going on for me? I want to just let you know, like there's a lot of uh, there's a part of me inside that's been like asking myself, like, am I going down the right track? That's just like, got it. Got it. Got it. Yep. Okay. Keep going. Keep leaning. Test optimize scale. You're doing this. You have a different way of saying it, but like you've been going about this. And then just there's a part of me that looks at this, and I'll bring it out to all of you outliers. Like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, like it's not that complicated. It's like that, like, but it is. It's robust, it's involved, but it doesn't have to be complicated in the overall process and leaning in. So I just want to let you know, like as you're talking here, Jason, I haven't gotten into like the specifics of what it is for me. In particular, I'm looking at like some of the ways that I'm bringing people into my world and asking myself, like this is kind of working. Do I go all in? Do I go more in it? Do I go test other things out here, or do I actually just say like this is working enough? Now let me try and figure out how to increase the conversions along the way. Let me increase like what the experience is like, whatever it is, and go all in or not. And so there's been some components here, like so outliers as Jason's talking. I'm thinking about this through my lens of my own business. I'm going to ask you to think about this through the lens of your own businesses as well, right? And then being in that space, the real thing, Jason, out of all this that was coming here was like the component of like, okay, am I willing to invest more financially, given that I'm seeing returns? Like, literally on Friday, I was asking myself, I was like, if I put a dollar in and get $10 in, of course I would do it. And I looked at my stuff, I was like, but am I? Like it's one thing that makes sense. It makes one sense in on paper, but like, and maybe I'll ask you about this here, and then we'll start wrapping up our conversation. But like, did like actually leaning in, actually having to put like your money, like your money where your mouth is, or like whatever. Like we're talking money in this case here, but like putting something on the line to go to bring it in. How have you like navigated that yourself, to take like the risk or go after the project or go into the investment with something that makes your palms sweaty? Well, we'll wrap up with this question, but like I think it's a fair one to bring into the mix.
Well, it's all around the goals and putting together a plan that you feel confident about to get there with safe enough, comfortable enough test levels, but understanding what's at stake if you don't hit those goals. And what's more desirable, holding on to a month's worth of marketing budget that you're testing out, or actually being able to play at the level you're shooting for. So it's not a matter of, hey, just spend on advertising, test it out, see what happens,
Mhm.
as much as having, calculated risks around, a roadmap, an algorithmic roadmap that you feel very confident about. So you set a goal and a timeline. Let's say it's 3 months out. Uh, Maybe it's to raise $2 million using this type of marketing. Maybe it's to 10 new clients or to bring on 10,000 new users. Whatever it may be, you then work backwards from there and set a goal for, what is it, 12 weeks, week 11, week 10, week 9, week 8. Where do I have to be at week 3 to be able to hit that goal week 12? Or do I have to be at week 1? What needs to occur? We do this when we're building new products, and we're constantly doing that because we need to be at the forefront of the marketing world. And with all the changes with AI and different types of digital communities and publisher appearances and podcast appearances, there's so much that you really need to bring into a marketing strategy today. So hopefully you're doing a thorough job of your industry overview and your competitor marketing audit before getting to the audiences you're targeting, the channels, the creative that's going to go into those channels, partners that can help accelerate things. These are parts of the 8-point strategy, by the way, but really should be a constant for any marketing, any growth plan. And then getting into projections. The only way to measure is with numbers. If you don't have numbers around this, yeah, your palms are going to be sweaty because you have no idea what you're looking to do. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm shooting in the dark. I hope it produces the results for me. And it's not that simple. It's not, hey, I spent on ads, I got a 10x return, life is good. If it was, everyone would do it.
No,
It's
yep.
really about the underlying factors that go into it and how you built the creative because of all of those, how you deployed capital, how you did your audience targeting, how you optimized, how all these pieces came to be. That's what separates, I'll just put it, plainly, the winners and the losers, or the market leaders and those that are trailing. So I would spend more time on the strategy. I would take calculated risks, and then I would move aggressively into those and litter everything you're doing with social proof and third party landing pages, to your website, to your offering pages, your paid media, your organic marketing. The more you could point to how everyone else thinks you are the best, the better.
I think it's a good place for us to leave this year. Jason, this is an awesome conversation. If anyone wants to go deeper down into your world, what's the best way for them to do it?
Yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm very approachable. Jason Fishman, Marina Del Rey, DNA. Go to our website, digitalnicheagency.com, or you could find us on YouTube. You can access this content from our site as well. But youtube.com/at Digital Niche Agency. You'll find a playlist for our educational content, our webinar series, for my podcast, for podcast appearances, conference appearances. Uh, Lots of hours of actionable
Mm.
insights.
Mhm. Talking about insights there, Jason, one of the reasons that we have this conversation is the last question I ask everyone that comes on. I love to like leave the space for every person that comes on to grow in some way. So what's an insight that you got as a result of this conversation?
Of this conversation,
Mhm. And don't make up anything if there's nothing there. Like it's all good. You know?
no, just recapping the whole conversation. There's
Yeah.
been so much to it. I think the
Yeah.
audience should go back and rewatch right now.
Yeah.
But you commented on the energy I brought to the discussion. I
Mhm.
look at uh, marketing as sales on a mass level. I was taught as a kid learning about business. Sales is a transfer of energy. So being able to bring that easier done in a physical in-person meeting or through a video call, different tiers to the call, but whether it's an email that's going out, a social post, an advertisement, make sure they feel your passion, make sure they feel your energy, and as many people as you can that think of it very highly, because that'll help shape the narrative for whomever is learning about you.
Jason, I really appreciate it. There's outliers. There have been so many actionable insights inside of this year, and there's I would love for you to put in like in the chat in the comments here, like let us know like what are the things that you picked out of this? What are you gonna? How does this apply to what you are doing? Jason, I appreciate you for being so generous with your time, with your experience. We're gonna keep growing on as a result of this.